Ryan Lemons doesn't know about the paper bags. Born just weeks after the New Orleans Saints' 2010 Super Bowl victory, he's known only Drew Brees at quarterback, a high-octane offense and a team that, even in a bad year, will at least give you a win for every loss. Waiting for a streetcar after Friday's pep rally for the Saints NFC Championship game Sunday against the Los Angeles Rams, Ryan's mother, Shara Stokes, decides to let her son in on a dark chapter in the team's past, the Saints. "It was bad," she explained over the din of a cheerful crowd. "They used to always lose and people still wanted to support them, but they didn't want to show their face. So they would put a bag over their face at the game and cut the eyes out." Ryan stared blankly for a moment, furrowed his brow and shook his head. "It just didn't make sense." "Yeah, I guess we don't talk about that," Stokes said, sharing a laugh with the rest of the family. "Now we're just excited to be in the conversation, and that we're not the underdogs. Leave that back there. We don't want to jinx it." Like many younger Saints fans, Ryan is blissfully unaware of the punishingly bad seasons that became synonymous with the Saints teams of the 1970s and 80s, and the near-winless records some years that would have fans donning paper bags over their heads in protest. They've never known the Saints to have a head coach fired in mid-season or hear the team's on-field effort described by the coach with phrases like "diddly-poo." William Pickett has. On September 17, 1967, he stood with the rest of Cub Scout Troop 256 just outside the end zone in Tulane Stadium for the Saints' first game ever. Wide receiver John Gilliam returned the opening kickoff 94 yards for a touchdown in front of 80,000 newly minted fans. "I'm a little kid, and I'm in the end zone. And the guy comes running right at me," he recalled, still amazed at the memory. "I had never heard that much noise in my life, but it was all downhill from there." The Saints lost the game to the Los Angeles Rams, as it happens, by a score of 27-13, and finished their inaugural season 3-13, beginning a tortuous losing habit that would come to define the team for decades. It didn't take many years for disillusioned fans to realize their team's name was just a dropped consonant away from becoming an appellation that embodies futility, and the Aints were born. But Pickett, a carriage driver and 13th Ward native, never counted himself among the haters. And he could never be a baghead. "You were always a Saints fan, but you were happy if they won a few games," he said. "I was there when poor Archie Manning got beat up to death. I was there when Billy Kilmer and Ken Stabler was there. We always had good players, but even if they played well it didn't make that much difference. I remember being made fun of," said Wanda Jackson, a retired federal employee who attended the rally clad in a Captain Comraga t-shirt. Living in Colorado in the early 1980s, she'd watch Saints games on TV among fans of other teams, never holding back her affection for her favorite franchise. "I screamed like they actually had a chance," she recalled. "We were losers then, but I wore my gear. Folks from all over the world know me as a Saints fan." Jackson said she once screamed so loud during a game she had to go to the doctor because she started having spasms in her esophagus. Jackson's daughter, who is in her 30s, is too young to remember the really dark days. "She's never known them to really be losers," Jackson said. "And my nieces and nephews. Nobody remembers those lean years, when they were the Aints and all. They don't really remember that. I think about it all the time," said New Orleans native Rob Savoy. And like so many folks, when they finally won the Lombardi Trophy as Super Bowl champions, the tears just came rushing out for every time my father suffered through a game, or my sister, or everybody else who was tried and true. ... That victory, and every bit of success that we've had, is for people who put the blood and sweat in before. It means a lot." Savoy had dropped in on Friday's pep rally with coworker Adam Gerber, both wearing their Saints jerseys. The two men embody the generation gap. Savoy is 56 and a lifelong fan, while Gerber, 25, adopted the team when he moved here in 2012. That has informed their discussions of their favorite team. "He knows I've been through the lean years, with Archie, and Danny Abramovich, and then the oh-so-close but never quite their years," he said. Gerber grew up in Los Angeles during the years when the Rams were in St. Lewis, I decided that wherever I went to college, I would adopt that football team, he said. And when I decided to go to college in New Orleans, I was just like, yes, I got a good one. Gerber's new favorite team may have come with a Super Bowl ring and a Hall of Fame-bound quarterback, but as a sports fan, he was aware of the Saints' pedigree of being one of league's premier lovable losers. But the way he sees it, the team's decades as a crucible of futility are a big part of why its fan base has credibility. Saints fans mean it, he said, turning his attention to the sea of fans who had flocked to the Hancock Whitney Center at Poydras Street in St. Charles Avenue. Look at this. Look what's happening here. Saints fans mean it in a way that a lot of other fans don't. Pickett, who has lived in Philadelphia and on the West Coast, said he's always struck by how easy it is for newcomers to convert to the Who Dat Nation. There are Saints fans everywhere, Pickett said. This is a team that you want to root for. Follow Chad Calder on Twitter, @ChadCalder.